Hi, HRN listeners. We're celebrating our 15th anniversary, and we have a really fun campaign and an ask for you. This 15th anniversary tour is aiming to bring you closer to unique food and music experiences in some of the most exciting cities in America. All the while, we're raising funds to support our work empowering the next generation of food system storytellers through our fellowship programs. Here's how it works. Donate to HRN and be entered into a raffle in the city of your choice to win a dinner for two at a noteworthy restaurant and tickets for two to a concert at a prominent local venue. We have incredible partners in New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Nashville, Las Vegas, Charleston, Asheville, and Ardmore, Pennsylvania, who have donated a meal for two and two tickets to a concert of the winner's choice. And all donations help fund our fellowship programs, where we're helping to build essential workforce readiness skills and food system storytelling skills. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15. Thank you.
Today's program is brought to you by the Museum of Food and Drink, sparking curiosity about food with exhibits you can eat. For more information, visit mofad.org.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. We're a member-supported food radio network broadcasting over 35 weekly shows live from Bushwick, Brooklyn. Join our hosts as they lead you through the world of craft brewing, behind the scenes of the restaurant industry, inside the battle over school food, and beyond. Find us at heritageradionetwork.org.
This is Cynthia Cherish Malloran, Reverend and DJ CherishTheLuv, and you are listening to Primary Food on Heritage Radio Network. Before I forget, let me tell you how to reach out to me and get my attention on social media, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at DJ CherishTheLuv. That's love spelled L-U-V, and hashtag using Primary Food, Heritage_Radio, and the hashtag RevLove. Welcome to the season finale episode of the 4th season of Primary Food. David, where are those claps? Yay! I was waiting for that. And what exactly is primary food? I learned this really great concept in nutrition school at IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, that the food you eat, you know, the stuff we put in our mouths and chew and enjoy, we consider that secondary food. Primary food is everything else in life that nourishes us before we sit down and eat. And that's stuff like enjoying music, reading a book, hanging out with friends, cooking food, having a great job, creative expression, playing games, exercise. And I'm so glad that I learned this concept because it was the high-quality primary food that I kept in my life while going through chemotherapy last year that kept me happy and healing my cancer. So we are a few minutes late into the start of this program, but that's fine. We're just going to run with it and be cool. And if you're listening live now, you can call in. Here's the number, 718-497-2128. Again, that's 718-497-2128. So Primary Food is produced by Heritage Radio Network, a nonprofit member-supported radio station devoted to all things food. So please help keep HRN, Heritage Radio Network, alive by becoming a member today. Go to heritageradionetwork.org and click on the beating heart to donate. Do it now, and I will love you forever. Totally need you. So today we're talking about art and music as our primary food and why it is so important, necessary, and healthy to have personal creative expression in our lives, how and why we make our art, and who we nourish doing so. But before I jump into who's here in the studio with us, because this is really awesome, and the people here are awesome too, but I have big news. Next month, I will be doing music work at an orphanage in Ecuador with Unfuck the World. So shout out to Micah Both. We will all be making music with young children and teens for Unfuck the World Day, June 10th, 2017. So for more info, go to Unfuck. Yeah, I'm saying Unfuck. I am saying Unfuck. Oh, yeah. No censoring here. Unfucktheworld.net. Now, I'm a DJ, and I'm entering the DJ/producer world, so I'm still learning how to make And that's why I have creative folks with me here today, because I need ideas, inspiration, and help coming up with a program for these kids. And that's why today's episode, we're going to find out how to be creative and how people do their creative thing with two very cool New Yorkers in my world.
I'm a New Yorker now?
Yeah, I'm calling you. I'm a native New Yorker. You are officially a New Yorker, and I'm going to raise the mic so we can hear you nice and loudly. We want to find out how you guys get your creativity on and how you serve the world with that magic. So I have sitting with me to my right is Cecilie Beck.
Yes, hello.
There we go.
I have a little problem with the mic.
Yeah,
here,
just scoot your chair up a little bit closer. Yeah, and then you'll be able to get in. Perfect. Cecilie Beck, I'm considering you a New Yorker. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Originally from Denmark, but who cares? You're a New Yorker. With us also is Tim Okamura. Am I saying that right? Please teach me.
Yeah, that's ballpark. Okamura, I say. I think the rest of my family pronounces it differently anyhow, so it's all...
New Yorker
it's all
also.
good.
But we're all from different backgrounds or so. But we're going to talk about where we come from and how that influences and informs our art and what we do and everything like that. Because, so speaking of influences and background, so Denmark. Tell us about your background, Cecilia.
Oh, my background in Denmark. Well, where to start?
You're a visual artist.
Story. Yeah, I studied art at the Art Academy in Denmark, the Royal Danish Academy of Fine Arts, and that's what actually brought me to New York, where I studied at Parsons at the MFA department there for a little bit, and then I just stuck around. But I'm also a musician. I do both sound and visuals, so I've been playing music since I was a little kid, and visuals and sounds has always gone along very well in my world.
Cecilia is going to supply us with music for this episode. We have a couple of tracks and maybe a couple of tracks live too. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens, which is great because I have to make music with these orphans. I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Let's talk about that.
So we'll talk about that.
To give you some tricks.
In about 20 minutes.
Okay, go.
And Tim, your background? Tell us where you're from.
Yeah, I'm from Canada originally. So it's I'm wearing an NHL hat right now since I'm a hockey fan, which is obligatory if you're Canadian. It's the NHL playoffs right now.
Yeah.
I moved to New York in '91, so it's been it'll be actually 26 years in August that I've been in New York. So more than half my life, and definitely I think I've been through all the tests that are required, all the things that you circle to become a true New Yorker, like being mugged, being broken into, prolonged battles with utilities companies, everything that's required to be a real New Yorker. Rat invasion of my apartment at one point. Dealt with it all. So it's been an incredible journey from that point moving here, and happy to be here today. Thanks for having me. Happy 420 day, by the way.
420, what's up? What's up? We just celebrated that earlier.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, we talked about it. That's all we did. We just talked about it.
Well, I've got some mints that my friend in Cali sent me. So
someone in the booth wants some.
Yeah. Well, we can freshen up with these later. They're nice and mellow.
And with you, Tim, you have with you?
I have my wonderful intern Cassidy, who's here just got here from England, although she's
from Virginia.
Yeah. Well,
and Jamaica.
Yeah.
And Jamaica. Yeah.
Jamaican by way of Virginia, and now going to school in London. And she reached out and wanted to come work with me for a month, and it's her second day today, and here we are on the radio. So,
oh my God, second
bonus.
day, second day in New York.
Great. I've been here. I come here every summer. I've got family in New York. I just love the atmosphere here. It's way more exciting than Virginia.
Wow, I'm gonna wave my wand. You're now a New Yorker. Bling. Everyone's a New Yorker here. You too. Bling, and you too, Tim. Bling.
See, she's ordained.
I have ordained you all as New Yorkers. Even you too, David. You can be a New Yorker also, even though you're going to a ball game tonight and wearing that cap and not the Mets cap. It's fine. He's waiting to get out of here.
DJ CherishTheLuv has the magic touch.
I do. I have a New Yorker story. We can share a couple of New Yorker stories, but here's one that I think, aside from being born in New York, East Village, I think this story makes me really, really hardcore New Yorker. I was in Chinatown and a pigeon flew into my mouth. This is a true story.
Was your mouth open or closed?
It was open. I was walking.
So like the head of the pigeon actually entered your mouth.
Let me describe it. You're all visual here. And you have pigeons in London too?
Yes, so many.
So many. So all we needed was one for this story. I was in Chinatown. It was very hot. And the second I opened my mouth by this like food cart. All right, so imagine Cecilia's like, I love when Cynthia suffers.
She loves it.
So much.
I'm on Canal Street.
There.
Okay, I'm gonna paint the picture so it's like you're here. I'm walking on Canal Street, mad hot, right? Food cart to my right, dudes eating food, and I believe it was like some kind of like lo mein kind of street food. They're eating, I'm watching them. I'm walking, the minute I open my mouth to yawn, here comes a pigeon's wing into my mouth. It flew like up, it was like flap, 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 and went into my mouth. I felt the wing of the pigeon in my mouth.
Ew.
And okay, so I turned, and I can still remember like the oily, unctuous, like salty grittiness of it. I turned, and the dudes that were eating like stopped eating mid. They were just like food in their hands, like oh. And one guy goes, "Oh fuck!" I ran my ass to Walgreens and gargled, but spiritually, I've never been cleaned.
You gargled in Walgreens?
No, I spit outside. I was like,
you just, like, in the middle of Walgreens, opened some mouthwash.
I opened it online, and then I spit it outside. And I just never got healed by that.
Well, at least it wasn't the pigeon's head. You know, like its mouth, like, you know, where a pigeon's mouth is going into disgusting
still
things.
Wing.
Yeah, I'd rather have wing, though.
It was salty.
If there's
That's the part that
I got some tricks I can tell you later.
If there's a bright side to the story.
There was no bright side to the story, but I think I earned some kind of like gangster credit for that.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah,
New
you
Yorker
get
story,
credit.
New Yorker story.
Yeah.
Let's hear one.
New Yorker story, I don't know which one to tell. Like, if it's a dog called Tonka playing piano.
That's my dog.
Yeah, that's your dog. Yeah. That's
Yeah, my
what
dog
I love.
plays the piano.
Or if it's like having, you know, there's so many things that happen to you when you're in New York. Like, people pop pills in your drinks, and like a dog plays piano, and like nothing really bad ever happened to me in New York. But I've been, you know, like it's
Pills in the drink
crazy
is
in the
not
streets
a good,
here. No, I know. Like
it's not a good anecdote.
No.
I'll take a
It's New York,
pigeon wing
though.
over a pill
Yeah,
any day.
yeah. I guess I would. I guess I would
That
too.
stinks.
Yeah, I know.
How about you?
Oh, there's so many. It's hard to. I mean, most of my, I think my hardcore New Yorker stories usually involve crime of some kind. You know, like I had a break-in in my apartment a couple of years ago, and it just was the one day that I wasn't home, and apparently they come at like in the morning when everybody normally goes to work. But since I'm a painter, I'm usually just around the entire time. And it was like one time I think I stayed at my friend's house, just like random chance, and they crowbarred my door open, and they took my computers, they took my cameras. I had just done a campaign for G-Shock watches, and G-Shock had sent me all these watches I hadn't even worn yet.
Oh my God.
They were laid out on my table, they're still in the containers, and they just scooped them all up. The cops came, and they were like, man, it's probably best that you weren't here. Like, they clearly got him with a crowbar, and it must have been like 2 or 3 guys, because they really cleaned you out. And they took everything, including clothing. Like, I had a selection or a collection of vintage, like, Letterman jackets.
Well, you do dress nice.
And then, thanks for saying so.
like I'm going to steal stuff off you.
Right, yeah. But then, like, a month later, I see this guy walking in front of my house, and I look at his jacket. I'm like, that's a cool looking jacket. I like that jacket. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's my jacket.
No.
So this guy was wearing my stolen jacket, and
That's
I
so
decided
wild.
to trail him, and I was taking photos, and then I finally confronted him, and I was taking all these pics. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, my friend gave me this. It was a whole thing. I was so dumb. And I called the cops afterwards, and they're like, you should have just called us first, and we could have got him for
Did you get your
stolen
jacket
property.
back?
Well, he offered to give it to me, and I was so salty about it. I was like, no, man, you wear it. You know, looks good on you. You enjoy that jacket.
I wouldn't want that person's like armpits.
Yeah, I didn't want it back. Yeah, I just felt like it was tainted, you know. And then I wanted him to feel guilty, like, while wearing the jacket. But
You'd be like, my great grandfather gave me that, and you took it. So how does being in New York influence and kind of like inform your art and the art and music you create?
Well, for me, it's just like, walking out in the street is always inspiring. You meet so many people. There's a new culture on every street corner. There's new interactions everywhere. People always talk to each other. So in my artwork, I'm always inspired by the people around me and the places I travel to. And before I came to New York, I was traveling all the time. And now I'm just feeling like I can learn so much from just being
people
in the
travel
city.
to you, being in New York.
Yeah.
Describe your art. The medium you choose.
Well, I do sound and visuals, and I work very interdisciplinary with very many different artists, and I do a lot of collaborative projects. I work with sound and visuals, so I see sound and light as two sides of the same coin in some way. So I use that a lot in my artwork.
We've worked together on a project.
Yeah, PMS.
Yes, this project is called PMS. It is called PMS. It's not dead. It's monthly.
It's monthly.
PMS, which stands for
Poetic Music Sisters.
Poetic Music Sisters.
Hey, there we go.
Yes, so we performed at Drum about a month ago.
Mercury Lounge as well.
Oh, sorry, Mercury Lounge. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. So we'll work on the next one. We're working on a house music track.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Oh,
you didn't know that. You know that now.
Okay, I'm like, I'm going to play along. What's going on, house music?
I think I sent you the picture. I have 5 of us working on this house music track, and we all of us have our names beginning with C.
Yeah,
and I just think that's
pretty cool.
More magic.
I think that's definitely magic.
I think you could add a Cassidy in there.
There we go.
Girl, you're in.
We need some British accent in there.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, you got me. Oh my God. I'm going to have to actually record you afterwards on my phone because I'll sample that.
Do you play music at all, Cassidy?
I like to dance a lot. I like to sing.
Good.
I can tap on my leg.
Oh,
well, I'm gonna need that later.
We're gonna need that.
I'm gonna have that activated later.
This is serendipity.
Awesome. That's perfect.
Yep.
And you, Tim, New York, how does it inform your work?
I mean, it's. I think my work's all about New York in a way. I think that as a painter, a lot of times, people have said you're kind of a documentarian, and I like that. I like that sort of position. I think that there's more of an emotional connection to everything for me, obviously, but just the idea of documenting, some people that I don't think had been represented or had certainly been underrepresented in the history of portrait painting and realism, in all the years leading up to this moment now where there seems to be sort of an explosion of it, which is great. But for me, it was about moving to New York in the early 90s, being completely in love with all aspects of what was happening in the city at that time, from, graffiti to hip-hop. I was a big hip-hop guy. In fact, I had a hip-hop radio show in Canada, so I left that to move to New York. Yeah, and all the acts that I had loved and played on the show, I was able to come see in concert in New York. Yeah. Like I said, graffiti, but then also on the flip side, going to the Metropolitan Museum of Art and checking out a Rembrandt in person for the first time in my life. I mean, absolutely mind-blowing. And I think that's what New York is about, is that sort of, real, diverse set of elements that are all influencing you in one way, and they may seem disparate, at first glance, but you realize that they all kind of feed each other and they all coexist in the same place. So I think that that's influenced my work in a very very tangible way. I mean, you can see elements of graffiti, of written language, sort of even ciphers and codes sometimes in there, but also still like that kind of classical approach to portraiture, or at least grounded in that, the kind of work that you'd see in the Met, and then just being in Brooklyn and just absorbing the culture and above all, meeting incredible people here, and most of the people that have posed for me in the paintings over the years are all New Yorkers in one way or another, some born and bred, but others from all around the world, Denmark and London and Ecuador. I mean, a little bit of everybody from everywhere, but it's certainly the city is still vital to me. A lot of people kind of a little salty these days and say New York's been co-opted, not as edgy, but I think there's
Hell
still a lot.
no, it's very
there's
edgy.
still
I'll
a
make
lot
it edgy
here.
right now.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you're the one using saying fuck. You're adding all the edge to this whole show.
That's me. I'm so in awe of the size that you work in, because you paint typically people bigger than life size paintings, right? And they're so realistic. So, Cecilia, your website for people who want to check out your work is www.ceciliebeck.com. I was about to get my personal email address there. I'll take that back. And then I just busted myself in doing it and gave it to you anyway. So hi.
At least it's just email.
CecilieBeck.com, and that is CecilieBeck.com.
And Tim, your website where people can check out your current work?
Yeah, it's just my name, timokamura.com.
And spell that out for us.
TIMOKA, M as in Michael, URA, and that's my Instagram as well. And I'm pretty good with Instagram, and the website's updated periodically, and Twitter I'm not as good on, but
I'm not about the Twitter either. I try too, but it's too much. So your paintings, and you have some going around now on tour at the Smithsonian, right? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I have a painting in a Smithsonian exhibition called the Outwin. I think it's 2016 portrait competition. It was a juried show. And I'm very proud to be a part of that, because I think this year's show had a really sort of strong theme of social consciousness in the work, and I think that they really included a lot of work that's more challenging, certainly, that deals with issues that we're obviously dealing with on a daily basis of racism, inequality, and underrepresentation, and those types of things. So I'm happy to be part of that show. It was at the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C., and now it's on tour around the country. I think it's in Portland, Oregon right now.
Kind of a big deal.
Again, feel very fortunate, and I have a painting in that show called "I Love Your Hair," which has been an image that has gotten a lot of positive feedback. So I've been excited about that.
These large paintings, how many hours goes into?
It depends. It's hard to say, and to be honest, it depresses me sometimes if I keep track of hours. But some things come together rather quickly, over the course of, let's say, a few weeks or less than a month, and then sometimes I'll start something and it'll hang around, and maybe it has problems that need to be resolved. Maybe I need to be thinking about it in my subconscious. But sometimes it'll be it'll take me a year, or more to get something done. So
you work in oil. Primarily, or
primarily oil. There are collage aspects. There's I pull out the spray cans a little bit sometimes. A lot of mixed media stuff. But really, the flesh and the hair and the clothing is all oil. And I've always thought that there's Lucian Freud always had said that flesh is made from oil. And so
I'm pretty oily, so I could say yeah. I'm so curious to hear about your selection process, because you do portraits. So how do you select a person? I mean, what is that process like? And then how do you start the painting once you select a person? I've really relied a lot on, what we have going on here today, serendipity, I think. It's been a lot about energy and karma, and meeting somebody, I think, that just has a certain intangible quality or energy or a very particular story that I find fascinating, and I think that portraiture is kind of a form of storytelling. So when you're doing a portrait of somebody, you are kind of without getting super literal, but it's what that person is, what you see before you is really the sort of result of their entire personal history. Up to that moment, and everything that they've gone through, and the lines you see in their face are indicative of things that they've experienced in their lives. So I think, again, energy, huge part of it. And I'm very fortunate at this point to have a lot of people that will email me or hit me up and sort of want to be a part of the work. And they'll tell me their story sometimes. And so that's been a way that I've, been having models come into, is people that have sort of asked to be a part of it. And that's been awesome. So I've, got a really great pool of people, amazing, primarily I've been painting women, obviously, for the last probably almost 20 years now, I guess. And just amazing women, beautiful women, heroic women, and to, I guess do my little part to try to sort of, like I said, document them in a respectful way that captures their beauty and resilience. Is that what else do you try to pull out of a woman who you're painting? Like,
I think that I don't really have to pull much, I think it's kind of there, and I think that's sort of why they kind of end up being part of the work in the first place, because they're already resonating something. Mm-hmm. And for me, obviously spending hours and hours and hours and looking into somebody's eyes and really studying their face and analyzing and figuring it out, like I discover more on my own. But I think the key for me is like present somebody that has this sort of energy reflecting back out at the viewer. Mm-hmm. And so anybody else that's coming along to experience the work, it may be at first glance this visceral experience of, here's a woman with, this afro, and we look nothing alike, and I don't think we're, I can't really see that we would be alike in any way. But then to spend time with the painting and to spend time looking in the person's eyes and kind of absorbing some of the secondary elements that support the portrait and saying, you know what, I've gone past that initial reaction and I see more and more of a connectivity. I see an aura, I see an energy there that I do get. And so it kind of flips that initial experience. I think that's, important when that happens. I'm always happy when I hear about that. Or just, the idea to experience another person. And again, with the portraits being life-size, I think that can be part of it. Like you're experiencing a life-size image of somebody that I've really tried to, record and honor them as an individual, but also find metaphors for like the greater human experience through those models.
It's really incredible. If I look closely at your work, I just wonder, like sometimes I look and I think, do you work like 3 inches at a time? Do you work like 8 by 8 at a time? Because they're so photorealistic.
Right.
And the only way as a graphic designer I know to get something scaled like that is to grid it out. But I don't think you're gridding.
No. For me, I have to work very holistically in the beginning, and I actually taught at Parsons as well, where Cecilia went to school, and I went to SVA, where you went,
grads,
where CherishTheLuv went to school.
This is all so incestuous.
All connected. But I used to tell my students, you have to think of it kind of like building a house, and there's the foundation, and there's the walls, and there's the roof, the bigger structures before you can think about like what doorknob am I going to put on the front door? You can't jump ahead. So for me, it's the bigger structures, the bigger forms, and then the next pass, you get a little more into, smaller secondary structures and refining those. And then the final pass will be, or, the final few passes will be about detail and getting those little things that are very specific to that person. And I think there's a lot of, as they always say, God is in the details. So I think the details are very important.
Well, I love what you're saying about the details. And I love something you said a few minutes ago about lines in the face. You kind of make me like lines in the face. There's nothing wrong with it, I think. But for those listening who are like obsessed about their crow's feet, tell them how awesome they are to paint.
Well, I think that there's always a little editing that goes on, but I think that part of what I've tried to do is tell a certain truth as well. Mm-hmm. And it's there's enough photoshopping and all kinds of filters and things in the rest of our lives. I think that I feel like my role as a painter and as somebody that works in a fairly direct way is to honor that stuff and to capture that and to capture the battle scars. I think that's a big part of who we are.
I think a lot of people realize the strength of your work. You have some celebrity clientele, some people collecting. I'd be honored to have a piece one day in my life. It'd be amazing. I actually would love to watch you work. I'm so curious, like, can you, and you, Cecilia, also, like, can you guys just jump into art making mode, or is there like you got to get into a headspace?
Oh, I need to like jump out of art making mode. Like I am in art making mode most of the time. Like if I have any like kind of emotions, feelings, I need to create. Like I need to just get it out.
So cerebral for me.
Get dysfunctional in the regular world.
I mean, I need to create artwork to just to survive. I guess. I get really unhealthy and fragile if I don't.
I mean, for me, it's every day, and so it's just like it's a way of life. People are always like, "Well, so what's going on besides art?" And I'm like, for me, there is no besides art, and that's not saying like it's not a boast or a brag or anything. It's just like I just happen to be in a position where I have to work every day usually, and I think the last day I took off was in February. I think I took a day off, but. And that's just the nature of the beast. I have a show coming up, so gotta grind it out. But I think for people that want to do art and want to do something creative, the one thing that I tell them as a tip is like, if you're working full time, you got kids, all this stuff, the key is just consistency. Even if you just carve out 3-4 hours on a Saturday afternoon, you tell your family, you tell everybody, this is my time to go into my studio, and you stay consistent with it. And you do it every Saturday afternoon. That's when you make your art, 3, 4, 5, let's say 6 hours. If you can get, lucky enough to do that, let's say 5, that's 20 hours a month. After 6 months, that's
gold.
120 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, like after a year, you can actually have a body of work going, and that's with a full-time job, family, responsibility, all that stuff. It just takes the discipline to do that consistently, and that's why I tell people, make sure you just keep it up every time, every week it comes around, and you'll make progress.
Now, Cecilie, you made a great point about what it feels like to not make art, that you feel frail. And I mean, both of you talk about what's it like if you aren't making your art, if you're not expressing, why it's so important that we express. And then who you're serving it up to and why it's important for them to receive it.
Cecilia, would you care to field that? Do you want me to take it first? Do you want a moment? Okay.
Go into it. Come into it.
Why is it important? Why does it feel important to me? I think that, in my case, like I said, I do feel like, it happened in a very natural way. A lot of people sort of say, well, listen, you're not a woman of color, and you've been, painting primarily women of color for almost, 2 decades now. I was attracted to painting people that I hadn't seen painted much before, certainly not in the way that I try to paint. I was attracted to, like I said, their stories and trying to represent, people that I just thought were just super cool. And I never really thought about it ever being a contrived thing, or it was never a plan. It was just very natural progression for me. And I think as an artist, you should be looking for stories that haven't been told before. Like, why would I want to do the same paintings and get trapped in the same sort of tropes that we've seen, and for me, being a person of like mixed heritage, being half Japanese and half Caucasian, British ancestry, it's really there never really was like, okay, here's all the half Japanese people, like go be with them. Like I was always an other, and I was always friends with, all these people that had all these different stories, and I just didn't see art that touched on that, or touched on the other, or touched on, these compelling folks that just, I couldn't go to the museum and see a painting of some of the women that I try to paint now. And, that's not to, blow my own horn or whatever. And I just think that those things are important to me. And I've realized that over time, as the work has gotten more exposure, as more people ask you about it, and as you get more feedback, as I get like high school kids or younger, even younger kids, like writing me a note and saying, thanks for making that painting of somebody that looks like me. And
amazing.
That, again, like it brings tears to my eyes sometimes, because I didn't think of that being sort of a reward. I never thought there would be a reward. You can only control the labor, I guess.
When did you start painting?
I really started like when I was young with my father. My father was kind of, as a hobby, he painted. He's a very practical-minded guy. And so it was never something he would have pursued as a career, but he was a good painter. He's a good landscape painter, and he took me to painting lessons when I was about 9.
Oh, wonderful.
And I did that for a couple of years, and then I sort of turned into like a moody preteen at like around 12 or something, and then I was like, I don't want to go to painting, I don't want to paint, for a couple,
landscapes.
Yeah, for about 2. Well, I was actually painting. My first ever oil painting was a horse's head.
Just the head.
Yeah, my parents still have this like horse's head.
Was it like decapitated or just?
Well,
the
it was
head?
kind of like faded away. It was kind of like a vignette, and I look at it, I'm like, man, that wasn't bad for like a 9-10-year-old kid, like a horse's head. But I took a couple of years off, and then I went back again, and then I just sort of realized like, this seemed to be something that I was best suited to do, so carried on with it.
Well, I studied painting as well. That's what I studied when I went to the Art Academy in Denmark, and but for me, I like moved around to different medias, and now I'm like very, I just work with very many different medias depending on the project I'm working on. But what was your question initially? Like,
Sorry, I talked so much we forgot.
Why is it so important for you to create your art and to share it? And
I mean, for me, it's like a way to ask questions or touch upon certain subjects. I studied artist activism as a part of my education as well.
Artist activism.
Yeah, and for me, it's like just to raise some questions and like create some, like, hopefully inspire people to create some discussions that might create some solutions for some problems in the societies we live in.
That's an amazing phrase. I actually don't know if I've heard that before. Art as activism. That was a program you took, or
it was not a specific program, but most people that were like doing artist activism were studying at the Department of Walls and Space in Copenhagen.
Oh, fantastic! I love that.
Yeah, you want to do it?
Yeah, I want to do that.
Let's
go back in time. And trade my graphic design career for that. So the people who receive your art, it must be nourishing for them too, because your art, just as yours is, Tim, it's very conscious, right? And you have messages that go out. Like, how do people receive your work? You have a new album coming out in like a day.
Well,
right?
it just came out. It's an EP. It's about I had a pretty tough year last year, so it's just like 5 songs about that period in my life, and I just came out with it. I didn't make a release party or concert. I didn't print any CDs. I just made an online release, and I hope it'll be helpful to people who are going through something similar. You asked what we were going to play today, and I actually decided to not perform any of that, because for me it's like, when you create a song, you create it. When you write it, you create it, and then you produce it afterwards. But I feel like when you perform it, you kind of recreate it, and And this EP, I kind of want to just leave in my past, get it out, hope that it'll be received well, and then just let it be what it is. But I have some other songs I'd like to perform instead.
Yeah, we have a track. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, but we have a track, Lost Now Found. Where is that, from your last album?
That's from this EP.
That's from this EP. Okay, should I play that, or should I?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so we'll do a little sample of that, and we'll go to a break.
Do a sample.
All right, stick around.
The mist on the mirror comes off to disappear, and the picture gets clearer every night. It's like the air is crying. There's no denial when I do the scrying. It's right. There's a man who falls to the ground. There's a woman lost now found. There's a clock that won't go around anymore. So when you rip the tablecloth, make sure.
Hi, I'm Dave Arnold, the host of Cooking Issues on the Heritage Radio Network. We all know and love Chinese takeout dishes like General Tso's chicken and egg rolls. But here's the thing. Even though we call it Chinese food, it's not like the food you'd find in China. What's the story behind this cuisine, and how did it become so popular that you can find a Chinese-American restaurant in nearly every town in the country? The answers may surprise you. Visit the Museum of Food and Drink in Brooklyn and see our newest exhibition, Chow, Making the Chinese-American Restaurant. Chow engages visitors with compelling accounts of how Chinese immigrants overcame racism and created Chinese-American cuisine. Discover the science behind the flavors of your favorite takeout dishes, feast on rotating tastings developed by the country's most talented Chinese-American chefs, and try your hand at writing your own fortune, which will be baked into actual cookies by a 1,500-pound fortune cookie machine. What better way to learn, connect, and eat? You can visit Chow at the Museum of Food and Drink on Fridays through Sundays from noon to 6. Tickets and more information can be found at mofad.org.
Cecilia, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
I think we need to hear some more from you, your artwork, which is in there. Let's listen to the
Well, you know a little bit about my
part.
artwork. Do you want to do how much time do we have? Do we have 1 or 2 songs we can do?
I think we can do 2 songs.
Awesome. Okay, so I was thinking about doing a song that I wrote actually a while ago, and it's kind of like an a cappella song. I'm gonna need some help from all of you though.
You got it.
It's a song called "Burn the Walls." And it's related to what you were talking about before. I also used to be interested in graffiti.
Well, and I used to
just
be
interested.
I used to be in bands, actually. I used to be a singer in bands.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you want me to sing?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go ahead.
We should all just make a band.
Yeah, now I'm like more of a
Harmonize.
percussion guy.
So, but
Are we
also,
gonna do percussion? Are we
thought-
going to do percussion right now?
Give me a tambourine.
oh yeah, do we have a tambourine?
If we got a tambourine, I'm good.
No.
Okay.
I have
well,
a coin
I
purse.
thought it also would be
I've got my
interesting.
tin of mints.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
tambourine.
That's great. That's
My
great.
cannabis
Because
mints.
I need you.
toilet.
Oh, he said it. There it came. Okay. Got out. Okay.
It got out.
Those-
Oh, I
None
shouldn't
more
have said.
of those.
Say that, can we?
So yeah, so let's try to. I would
420.
like you to help me
Okay.
do
How
a
do we
little
do this?
beat.
You're going to be teaching me how to construct a song
Yeah, you could even
for
like
these kids.
yeah, I'll do that afterwards.
Okay. What do we do now?
I used to be a music director at some schools in the Bronx as well.
Here we
so,
go.
Yeah, so I'll definitely talk to you about that as well. But for this one, it's called Burn the Walls. It's actually about writing graffiti, but I thought these days it might be really nice to just, burn the walls in general and just start communicating instead across the borders. So if you could help me do little beat, I'll do something with you. And you can just see if there's some, the snap might be a little boring if we're all doing that together. So if you could find
You guys
something
keep on the
else.
snap. I gotta find.
What
well, I
about
got
the
tin.
mints?
You got the
the
maracas.
mints.
Okay.
Do we have a pen? Do we have, hey, Cynthia, I know, DJ CherishTheLuv, I know you do a human beatbox.
Okay.
Can you
Oh, yeah, there we go.
please
Yeah.
do that? There she goes.
Is this the
Okay.
right tempo?
Yeah, it'll work.
I don't know about the mints.
I'm gonna crawl out the wall. I'm gonna jump through the window, hit on the floor, and then I'll take a look around. One eye down to the holes in the ground, then I'll burn all the walls. 4 walls down, I'm gonna go through the door, and then I'll burn all the walls. The same procedure as mentioned before, and then I'll go to the roof. I put my hands on my hips, make love to the view, and then I'll slide down a pole. No more cans in my bag, only leftovers of stole. I'm gonna sneak through the yard. I'm all safe, but I don't wanna meet a guard. I'm gonna jump up on my bike. I'm gonna jump up on my bike.
Nice.
I'm gonna jump up on my bike. I'm gonna jump up on my bike. I'm gonna jump up on my bike. The hood of dress shown as a woman. I'm gonna sing one of my songs. I'm gonna sing one of my songs. I'm gonna jump up on my bike. Hood of dress shown as a woman. I'm gonna sing one of my songs. I'm gonna sing one of my songs. I'm gonna sing one of my songs. I'm gonna sing one of my songs.
Yeah, there we go.
Ah, that just happened. That just happened. That's awesome.
That's great.
Thank
awesome.
you guys.
Like the harmonies.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
You know, like midway through, it was like actually kind of like floating. It must be the mint.
Well, you weren't breathing while you were beatboxing.
No, I wasn't. Here's another mint. I love that. That's fantastic.
Thank you. So I'm actually going to perform this song as a part of a performance I'm doing with dancer Nora Stevens on Sound Dance in Williamsburg this Friday, 5:30 p.m. So come out there and see
the
what
date
we've
is?
got.
Just
well,
so
it's
people know.
this Saturday. I don't even
I don't know
I
what the
live
date
day
is
to day
anymore.
these days. Like whatever,
we don't do
whatever it
calendar.
is. It's the 22nd.
Amazing. So
yeah,
let's make us.
5:30.
You
Come
just
on.
inspired me because working with these orphans in a couple of weeks, I'm supposed to end the 2 weeks there with a song or two, hopefully 3, that we're going to perform in a quasi concert with everyone. So you have experience like making a song out of scratch. So maybe we could do that, the 4 of us right here.
Oh, right here, right now.
Yeah, like right here, right now.
Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Well, sure. What do we want? Like, I think it would actually be interesting for you to do it with the kids at the place.
Yeah.
And just like talk to them I mean, unless you're insisting on doing it now.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to get ideas.
We can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that. I'm pretty good at
Let's do it.
making it.
If you feel lucky right now.
It's not about luck. It's about like just receiving and just like getting it out.
Are we receiving?
No, so I would actually think it was more like at least that's how I work. Like to just work with the kids at the spot and just talk to them about what inspires them and what they would like to do, and just talk to them about how they get along with each other, and bring some inspiration in. It's really fun for kids to be involved in the process.
Is this for Unfuck the World?
Yes,
which I find it curious. There's kids involved.
I know
who sort of brainstormed that.
It's okay.
Kids, we want you to come.
Their first language
help unfuck the world.
That's all right, because their first language is not English. It's okay.
Yeah, maybe. Right. Nobody knows fuck outside of America.
I mean, this the whole creative process is what I wanted to, get us all in on. Just like, talk about why it's important to share it, and why it's important that art gets funding, and why art is important, period.
That's part 2 of our show, probably, right?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, we have 5 more minutes left. Like, last words on creativity and art. Go for it.
Well, I think, like, just talking about the kids you were talking about before, I think it's really great to be able to be a part of a process and be a part of a community and be a part of creating something together. And, so I think it's really amazing you're going there and involving these kids in the process.
I don't know. Like with every project I travel for or start to work on, I know cognitively I'm going into something, and I just never know how I'm going to come out.
Yeah.
And I always come out improved.
Yeah.
Like something, I get some kind of enlightenment. Like this trip to Japan last month. I came back and I was like, I am not the same person.
I loved all the pictures. I was like there with you.
Oh my God.
But usually anything involving kids, I mean, it's something that there's going to be some rewarding experience that comes out of it. You don't quite know how it's going to go, but sort of, kids anywhere in the world have that openness and that willingness and desire to create and to be involved creatively. And I've actually been asked, very fortunately, to do a show at Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art. They have an area called Kids Space, where kids can go into this art museum, and a contemporary art museum can be a little intimidating sometimes, but there's an area for kids where they can actually get involved in art projects with top artists that are very much recognized in their field. And this is not to give myself a backhanded shout out, but feel very fortunate to be included in that and to be able to work with kids. And I think that it's important to foster creativity in kids and in schools. And there's even there's a website actually worth mentioning called donorschoose.org, and it's teachers around the country that are asking for people to help donate money because the schools aren't providing enough art supplies, for instance, or music supplies. And so I was just able to contribute to that and help these kids get watercolor paints. And they all just sent me like little thank you notes. But I think, it's the creativity that gets harder to hold on to as you get older, as you become an adult, as you even decide to pursue that as a career, as a musician, as a DJ, radio host, painter. That's where more and more the world tries to pull you away from that, and it's like, a good friend of mine in a documentary that I'm in said, it's like your creativity is like a little flame, a little candle, and the world's trying to blow it out and you're trying to protect it.
Yo,
and
that's
keep
so
it alive
true
and
right
keep
there.
It burning.
I just got chills.
And it's tough.
I'm going to cry. That's so true.
And so many of us in New York are dealing with that. So many creative folks that get to this stage, where they're trying to make it a career. And it's, generally this society and this world is not designed to support that. It's designed to support the 9 to 5, like stay in your place, stay in your lane, stay in your role. And you got to fight, you got to fight to be a creative person. You got to fight to DJ and to make music. And there's definitely a lot of sacrifice, but then the world ends up being a richer place for it.
I mean, it's really difficult to be an artist in New York City these days. It used to be different in the past, I guess, but like I used to live in, as I said before, Denmark, and in Berlin. It was so easy there. Like you could create and you didn't have to think so much about actually surviving. But here it's hard in these streets. Everything is so expensive, and there's no, they're cutting all the funding to the arts. And luckily I'm from Denmark and I have my support actually. Today I got a little pat on the shoulder from the government in Denmark, but it's difficult to live in New York and be
and when you hear
artist.
what other governments are willing to do to support their artists and creative people, and then you hear
about ours.
This guy that we got talking about cutting funding to the arts, it's
ridiculous.
It's hard. It's hard. It's a bitter pill.
Well, to kind of like kick back and resist, do you want to end with another song of yours?
Let's. I was thinking about just now that we just talked about all the shitty things about this place. Let's do a little salute to New York City. I have a song called Heartbeat.
Great.
All right, we're going to end on that, but we're going to sing it. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Thank you for having me.
Again, Tim.
And Cassidy.
And Cassidy.
Thank you so much for having us.
And David, we're going to perform a little song, and then we're going to close.
As the darkness spreads over the city, I think about the heartbeat and the sound. We all walk along, no matter if you're pretty. No, no, no. Everybody's got style in this town. It takes 2 steps to find out who you can trust. And it takes 10 more to find out if it's love. Give it to me. Give me your best. Give it to me. I don't care about the rest. No, give it up. Yeah, give me a heartbeat. Give it to me. Just give me some heat. Give me a beat. Give me a beat. Love. So when you think I know you lost your mind, when you ain't got no grain, ain't got no time. Well, I can't tell you that you'll be just fine. No, but I can say you'll be alright. I can say you'll be alright. It takes someone shady to spot a shady grave. And it takes courage to shine along the way. Give it to me. Give me your best. Give it to me. I don't care about the rest. No, give it up. Yeah, give me a heartbeat. Give it to me. Just give me some heat. Give me a give it
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content and to hear about exclusive events, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at heritage_radio. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Rate the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join our community by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.
Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butz, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.